How you doing, my man?
What's happening, pal? How's things?
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant. How's your day been?
That's been good. Weather's fine, so making the most of it. You only excuse me, I'm just getting my protein. I've just had a 45k run there, so I get my protein in, you know.
Leading the way, mate. Leading the way.
How's things anyway? How's you?
Brilliant, mate. Really, I'm sound. I was out, done a wee walk through my house right up the Law Hill this morning with
I
Janine.
seen you were out early.
We were out early doors, and then came back for that. Went and picked the young lad up, and then went for a 5k. He got a new wee PB today, so he was buzzing.
Nice one.
He was buzzing. So
Yeah.
Bill, yeah. First of all, mate, thanks a lot for coming on.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
I'm totally excited. Totally excited. Like, obviously, I'm lucky enough that I've seen the documentary. But like, going back to like the first. Do you know the first time I ever met you?
Long time ago, though, no?
No, it was Concrete Jungle, mate.
Yeah.
Remember?
Good times. Messy, but good times.
Yep. So,
I thought I met you in Aussies before that. Maybe not.
maybe in
Before
Aussie
we came
before
up,
that.
Maybe I thought Aussies, but maybe it was Concrete Jungle.
I thought it was where we were. When it was a couple of shops up to Manifesto.
That's right. Yeah.
Were you in there before Aussies, or were you in Aussies before there?
No, I was working in Aussies with the boys in there before, and then I left just to open Concrete Jungle, like up from Manifesto.
Right,
You're
yeah.
right, it's like just there. I
Cool.
thought it was maybe before that, but yeah, Concrete Jungle was good times.
So man, I still remember what I bought. I still remember what I bought that day. I came in and bought like a black Obey hoodie. Had like yellow like pattern over it.
Before anybody knew Obey, ahead of the game.
Yep, 100%, mate, 100%.
Always.
So, how's things been going anyway during this time when you've been in lockdown?
Do you know what? I've been speaking to a few people about it and stuff, and I guess I better not say too much, obviously, work-wise and stuff, but I'm loving it. I'm actually loving it because we just don't, do you know what? I don't get that time. See, like having lunch with the boys and breakfast and stuff like that, we don't get that because, when I say boys, I mean kids, just for anyone that's thinking I'm out with my mates. It's just because, you know, it's because I work away, obviously, I'm pretty much away half the year, so, and when I'm back, it's full on, obviously, they're at school, Mary's at work, so it's kind of just the weekends, and then the weekends are full on driving all over, doing stuff for football runs and everything like that, so I'm kind of just trying to make the most of actual having the family time and the garden, getting the garden done. Every summer, like, we need to do this, we need to do that, and it never gets done, and now I'm actually trying to get it all cracked and ready to go, so we can actually enjoy it in the summer for a change. You know what I mean? I'm sure you must be the same. Plenty of jobs needing done.
We've been buzzing a bit mental, mate. Janine's had us like, she's been cracking the whip.
That's the same.
Well,
you know
here,
what I've just been out hoovering the grass at Mary's Demand.
Oh, yeah, have you got the artificial grass, mate?
I was building a new deck today, so I was out with the saw and stuff, so there was sawdust all over it. You need to get that hoovered up. So she's just added that to my list of things to do. Hoover the grass, which is pretty bizarre for those who don't know the AstroTurf game.
Yeah, your young lads decent, eh? At
football. Do you know what? People ask me that everywhere I go. People ask me about him and stuff like that. And it's hard for me to say yeah because I'm his biggest critic, like by far. But yeah. Do you know what? Sometimes I watch him and I'm in awe. I'm just absolutely blown away by him sometimes. When I see how he plays and his attitude and his enjoyment of it and everything. That's what's most important for me. Is that he's
I mean, I've only seen him.
I
mean, I've only seen him on wee videos that you've put up, and he's in the backers and whatnot. But he looks like he's got a wee sweet strike in that on him, man.
Oh, every day, he's just trying to perfect new things and new tricks, but he's loving it. He's loving it. It takes up, like I say, that's what takes up a lot of our time when I am home, when things are as normal. We're all over the country. Do you know what I mean, with football on Saturdays or Sundays or whatever it is? But I love it. We both love it now as well. That's a good thing. We had Jordan, so we've got 3 boys.
Right.
And we found out Jordan was going to be a boy, because we didn't know the other 2. We just found out on the day, pretty much. But we found out Jordan was going to be a boy, and Mary was like, just as well like football and Star Wars now, eh? So she's well outnumbered, but enjoying it all the same.
Quality, mate. Quality. So, Bill, let's go right back to the start, mate. Okay. Go as far back as you want. Kind of how you even started getting into rap and the hip hop scene, kind of as a kid. And I take it away, mate. I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, cool. I mean, it's quite funny because I still actually remember the first time I ever heard hip hop. Well, hip hop as a good thing. Obviously, I heard when I was at primary school. I'd heard like Vanilla Ice, MC Hammer and stuff. You know, stuff that was in the charts, and I was kind of like, oh, that's cool. I was always a fan of like Michael Jackson. My mum kind of brought me up on like Motown, so I was always kind of into like soul type stuff anyway. So when I heard hip hop, it kind of hit me a little bit. I was like, oh, I like that. I like the kind of vibe of that and the sound of it. And someone let me hear an NWA tape, like a tape cassette. Sorry, young guys will not remember that one. But tape cassette and the old Sony headphones in the playground at primary school. That's how old I am. And I remember just hearing it. I was like, oh my god, like they're swearing on that song. that was me hooked. So just a wee bit of swearing allows anybody's. But yeah, that's pretty much how I first got into hip hop. After that, I'd found a lot of West Coast stuff and Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, The Chronic, all that kind of stuff. So early days of that side, and obviously Biggie's and Wu-Tang and Nas and stuff like that from early is kind of how I got into hip hop. I just kind of fell in love with it, and from there it just became a bit. I was always in bands and stuff, so doing other music. I mean, I'm into anything. I'm like, and I know a lot of people say, oh, I don't really have a genre that I like. I just like music, and sometimes it's easier to say that than tell people what you actually like. But for me, it's absolutely genuine. Like I've always been in like skate punk stuff, and like I don't know, hip hop was in indie music when Oasis and stuff were big when they first came out. So I've always been in everything and been around music and bands and stuff. So it just kind of became second nature to try to start writing my own raps. Do you mean when I'm kind of involved in music and stuff? So that's kind of how I got started rapping.
So what age were you when you started like writing your own lyrics and stuff like that? Were you doing that for the band first, or did you start?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So I mean, the first kind of thing I'd heard similar to what I was doing at the time was like Rage Against the Machine. So obviously Rage Against the Machine were out. They were obviously massive, and like Zach De La Rocca was rapping over this like kind of heavier music, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. So started trying to do a bit of that about 16, 17, and then when I was 18, I left school, went to art college, and when I was at art college, I met Gav, the other half of Silibil N Brains, and we just kind of clicked, and we're both into the same sort of music. We're both into like kind of skating and snowboarding and all that kind of stuff. So we just kind of clicked really well, and it just became an obvious thing to do. Like, we should start writing our own raps, and that's when we started writing hip hop, like over hip hop beats, as opposed to doing it with a band, you know. So that was I was about to fast forward to that point. So that's like how I met him, and that's how the Silibil N Brains thing came about.
That's cool, you know what I mean? Because at first you were rapping in Scottish accents, weren't you?
Yeah. So I mean, just as you would do, just absolutely normal. We were playing shows all over Scotland. We're up in Aberdeen and Edinburgh, Glasgow. We were doing shows as ourselves. I mean, just Dundee, obviously, loads of shows in Dundee because that's where we were. But yeah, we were just doing loads of shows, just as normal accents, making tunes, recording them. And what we did was we got to a point where we thought, you know what, we're pretty good at this. I think we could probably go a bit further than this. So what happened was we started sending out demos, CDs again. People maybe not remember the CDs, but CDs. Yeah,
that's still that. It blows my kids' minds, man.
We had all our tunes on a mini disc, but we were burning CDs to send to the companies. So yeah, so that's what we're doing. So basically, we started sending out CDs, and then we're kind of phoning up companies like record companies, just managers and stuff, and there were people were just coming back to us like, nah, just laughing like, nah, Scottish hip hop, Scottish rappers, nah. Without even hearing it, they didn't even listen to it. I mean, they just weren't interested. He was over the phone. Oh, can we send your CD? We're two rappers from Dundee in Scotland. Just hang up the phone. Nah, I'm not interested. And that's what we did. I mean, we're obviously heartbroken. Like, why are we not getting a chance? We're not getting a chance to get in there. And then just once for a laugh, I remember being on the phone. Like we used to listen to. I don't know if you ever remember the Jerky Boys. They used to do these. It was these American guys that did all these prank calls, like way before your phone jacker and all this kind of stuff. Like years and years ago, they was like tapes and stuff with the Jerky Boys, and they had made up these characters and they do prank calls on people. So we were doing that kind of thing anyway. Jackass was kind of around, and it was like, we were that typical skateboarding, snowboarding, idiot guys that listen to kind of hip hop and skate music. And so just once as a laugh, I was just like, "Hey, what's up, man?" Like, and basically we pretend, I'm not doing it again because I can't do the accent that well anymore. But basically we pretended we were, no, we pretended we were from California. I've been to California a few times growing up. I've got family that live there and stuff. So I basically used, for my story, my background story, I basically used everything, like the area they lived in, and the airports that I flew into, and the places I went. So I was using all that as info, and I just said, yeah, we're from California, this place in Southern California, and we're in London for a little while. We're rappers. We're just wondering if we can send you a CD. And literally the first person we spoke to was like, "Oh yeah, please, can you send us that?" And we were just like, "What?" A bit blown away, you know, like. I phoned up and said we're in Dundee. Can we send your CD? They weren't interested, but the minute we say we're from California, they were kind of, so we're a bit like, that's mad.
Basically, the same people you were speaking to.
I mean, no, it wasn't the exact same people, but same group of people.
Pretty much.
Yeah, same kind of group of people. Yeah, so that was it. So then we thought, oh, what are we going to do? And I remember Gav decided he was going to just change his accent and just be yourself. But then when you rap, just rap an American accent. So what we've done is we re-recorded all of the songs, exact same songs, with the same beats, same lyrics, same chorus, everything. But we just re-recorded the vocals in American accents, just so we had the CD of these American boys. And we kind of figured, you know what, it's not really going to work. People will just be like, that's just stupid, that's just fake. I mean, as ironic as it is, because obviously it was fake. But we were kind of like, you can't really go and speak in your normal accent and then go and rap, "Hey, what's up, man? We're rapping in American accents," because people would just think it was stupid. So we just decided, well, we'll just skip that whole process and we'll just become these American guys. Because this is before social media. This is before Facebook, before Bebo. But this was like before all social media and stuff was like, so it was a lot easier to get away with. You'd never get away with it now, because straight away someone would be on, "Here, get him." But you know what I mean? So basically what happened was we sent that some guy had said, "Look, I've actually got a showcase show," but it said next Thursday, if you're still around, because he's thinking we're in London, because we told him we were in London. So we're like, yeah, sure, yeah, we'll come to that. So the guy offered us a show like 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks from sending us, from making this album, this American stuff. We're like, right, we've got the show in London, so we had to get a private jet. No, I'm joking. We got the megabus down to London, and to do the show. So we went on stage. We're obviously backstage, and there was all these kind of like pop bands and like girl bands, boy bands. It felt like kind of X Factory type vibe, but not like, it was just like a gig. There was loads of people there, but it was a showcase. So it was for like industry people, like A&Rs and stuff. Their managers were there, just kind of looking to see like new talent. And when so it was just boy bands, girl bands, R&B groups, and then we went on and just kind of like just dressed like skateboard guys, two white skateboard guys coming on.
What was it like when you turned up? Sorry, Bill, what was it like when you first turned up and you're going to meet the guy while you've been speaking American? Can you just have to do it in person?
Well, that's it. Yeah, so we just thought we'd just have a laugh. We'll go down, pretend we're American. We'll do the show. We'll come home, see what happens. But we went on stage, did the show. I went on stage. "What's up? We're from California." And everyone's like, "Wow, yeah, awesome." So we killed the show. Absolutely blew the show. Blew the show and the crowd and everything away. Everyone was loving it. It was a really good response. We walked off stage and we're just still buzzing, like, "Oh man, that was awesome!" Like being American, obviously. And his boy came up to us, this big London guy, and he was just like, "Hey guys, where are you from?" And we're kind of like just because we're still on that hype, we're still buzzing. We're just like, "Oh, we're from California," and he was like, "Oh, just have a laugh. You might as well fool this guy as well for a laugh." And he gave us his business card and he goes, "Oh man, listen, I want you to come and see me tomorrow, please. Are you still around? Come and see me tomorrow. I absolutely love that. I want you to meet some guys." And he was from looked at his business card. He was from Island Records, which is part of Universal, right? So it's huge. It's Bob Marley, everything else all came through that. So we were like, then we're kind of like, "Oh, cool, right, oh yes, well, I've got to go and see a record label." But obviously then you start thinking, "Oh, wait a minute, like, what do we do now? Do we go in and be ourselves? Can't really go into a record label pretending you're American." But we'd been on stage and we spoke to this boy in American, so we went in the next day and we were just like, we were just like, yeah, we're actually from Scotland, but we just pretended we were back last night. We might just kick us out. So we thought, right, there's no turning back. That's it. We're stuck now. I mean, it wasn't never the plan. It was just the plan to go down and have a laugh, trying to get a bit of exposure. So, I mean, that was it. We were stuck. We went and seen the guy the next day, and within a month, we'd signed a record deal with Sony. And that was us stuck living in London as these two American guys. We couldn't go back. We couldn't tell anyone. We couldn't just be like, listen, just don't tell them. But because we couldn't trust anyone after we didn't know anybody. So it wasn't like,
yep.
Right, we'll tell this guy as long as he doesn't tell him. Because we thought as soon as someone knows, that's it, it's game over. And we just look idiots.
So instead of just being on stage rapping in American or speaking to the like record people and stuff like that American, your whole life switched and you're speaking American non-stop all the time.
That was it. And people, I mean, 3 years I lived in London, speaking American for 3 years. And I mean, there was times when I'd be around people and like Mary, because obviously Mary was still here. She was doing she was just finishing off uni and stuff. So she'd phone me, or my mum would phone me or something. And so say my mum phones me and I'm around people, I'd be like, "Hey mom, what's up?" And like, "Yeah, let me call you back." Because I was like, she was like, "Oh Christ, here we go again. What you doing now?" So I'm like, "What are you up to?" But I could obviously just be like, "Mum, hang on, I'll phone you back just in case they haven't heard." So it was weird, but it was fun. But one of the biggest questions, and I'll say it before you ask me, because everyone asks the same thing: when you got drunk, did you not slip back into a Scottish accent? And I tell everyone asks that question, and I always answer the same as, see, the more drunk we got, I think the more obnoxious Americans we became. We started becoming these like, "Hey, what's up? We're from America," and we just got worse. We got wild, absolute jackass guys, you know, and we just didn't care. That was the good thing about it, was we got to the point where we had no fear, not one bit of fear, because we just felt untouchable. We knew we were good, we knew the music was good, and we knew that people straight away were like, "Oh, this is really good." I mean, if you get signed that quick after meeting people and after people seeing you play one show, we knew we were onto something. But so
were you thinking, when you were in it, when it was all going on, were you thinking, "Fuck it, let's just ride this to as far as we can go," or was it like?
That's exactly what it did. I mean, obviously a lot of people have seen the documentary, so they kind of know bits and pieces. But I mean, things we were like, obviously the Brit Awards story was brilliant. Obviously, I ended up one of the sneaking into the Brit Awards as this American guy doing shots with Green Day. I mean, just like just partying up with everyone. Trey Cool, the drummer from Green Day, I remember speaking to him, arms around each other. "Oh yeah, man, California." I mean, obviously they're from California, so now I'm like, "Oh, well, this is where I'm from this place in California," because I was kind of confident in my backstory. But obviously, if anyone had been like, "I'm from there as well," I would have been a game over. But he was like, "Yeah, man." He was like, "Hey, I need to show you. I'll show you this. When we go back to the States, come and hang out, and I'll take you to this place, and I'll show you this place." And I was like, "Yeah, man, that sounds awesome." Like, fuck. But mental. But there was loads of crazy things that happened. But I was in situations where I'm like, "Man, how did I get out of this?" Do you mean like you just can't? You're kind of stuck in this character now.
What was your mum and your family like, Bob?
No, they're totally cool. My mum's always been supportive of, like, not just my music, but like ambition. Like this is how I am with my kids as well. Like I tell my kids they can be anything they want to be, and that sounds kind of cliche, but a lot of people can say that easy enough, but they don't really mean it. Do you know what I mean? They're still like, "Oh, you still need to stick in school, do this," and it's not that I don't tell my kids to stick in school, but if my son says he wants to be a footballer, which he does, then I don't doubt for 1 minute he'll go and play for Barcelona or Real Madrid, and I'll never tell him you can't do that. Maybe you might be able to play for a smaller team, or you might be able to play like Sunday League. I'll ride that until the wheels fall off. I'll ride that with him. That okay, let's go to the top.
100%, mate. 100%. Exactly the same, man.
You've got to. Do you mean? And that's what my mum was like. She was the kind of supporter of that. So if I'd said anything, she just totally backed it. And she was obviously a bit like, "Oh Jesus, what's he up to now?" And kind of thinking it's going to end somehow. But yeah, it was. Do you mean they were really supportive and really cool about it? And just again, there was no, obviously, like I said, there was no social media and stuff, so you weren't kind of speaking to people as much and as that kind of thing. You weren't constantly sitting online or whatever, like speaking back and forth. So I didn't speak that much, only kind of phone calls at the time. But yeah, that was it. It was cool. It was really supportive. You know, I've just noticed there's little comments thing coming up. A lot of people laughing. That's funny. Cheers for that, and
Colin's actually said, tell the D12 situation.
I was just about to say that. I was going to say, that's the one thing I just noticed. Colin loves the story, eh? He loves it. Because he was part of this as well.
I know.
Because he came down, so...
he's on the documentary, isn't he?
Yeah, so well, that was it. I mean, because obviously there were two rappers who were rapping over hip-hop beats and with a hip-hop DJ type kind of vibe. But then we started wanting to bring in like a live band, and as soon as we thought that, I was just like that's it, Colin, 100%. That's my boy from back home. I wanted him to be there, like every part of the journey, you know, like you wanted him to be there. So the minute I got the opportunity, I was like, that's it. Let's get him down. So he came down and lived with us as well, and was kind of writing out that mayhem as well, which was cool. Which is brilliant to have him there.
So what is the D12 story about?
So this is a funny one actually. So because obviously we had these backstories, right, where we're from, so basically we told people that we both met each other like at like skate comps and like hip hop battle things and stuff like that, like back in California. And then, but that's the one thing about getting drunk. The more drunk that Gav got, the more elaborate the story became. So it was like, we met back then and we did this and we used to go to the same parties as and whatever. And it would just spawn. It's like a growing arm, growing leg here and another arm there. And I'm like, oh, so every time I used to be like, oh no, just leave the story as is. And so Gav just dropped in this backstory that we used to hang out with D12 because we actually met like Eminem and D12 and that back in the day. This is not true. This is what Gav would tell people. Well, we met them all back in the day. We used to hang out with them and stuff like. We met them all rap battles and hip hop nights and that kind of thing. We kind of met them and stuff. We knew them, and I used to be like, oh man, that's a bad one. But we kind of but obviously I backed him up 100%. So anything he said, I was like, yeah, it's totally, and I'm just like let the story go on. And so one day we're sitting in the house and just sitting like playing FIFA on the PlayStation or something, and the phone goes and it's our manager and he's like, oh guys, I've got some amazing news. And we're like, oh sweet, what's up? And he said, I've got your massive show, we're going to be playing Brixton Academy. And I was like, oh brilliant, who are we playing with? And he was like, oh, your old buddies, you'll never believe it, we're playing with your old buddies D12. And we were like, oh my god, we're playing with D12. Oh no, that kind of sunk in like, oh my god, how do we get out of that? What do we do? They're like, oh, it's going to be so good for you guys to hook back up with that and stuff. So obviously it didn't. Not until we kind of we didn't mention anything about it, we just kind of kept it going, and I got to the day of the gig, and we were in for sound check and stuff. So like we're there, me, Colin, Gav, Gordon, the boys, like we're all kind of there, sound checking all the equipment, checking the beats, checking okay, that's cool, checking that out, and then we met obviously D12, and our manager was there. So our manager's like, oh yeah, look, there's your boys D12. I just remember thinking, oh no, it's all or nothing. Do you mean we either just be like, no, I don't really know them, or we just go full on in and make them believe that they know us.
Yeah.
So we just went up to like, hey, what's up, man? How's it going? And just like high fiving them, hugging them, stuff. It's been a while. But also they're confused, like, what's going on here? Who are these guys? So they're just like, yeah, man, cool. And just looking like, oh, holy shit, they do know them. They're pals with D12. And and that was like basically the craziest situation to be in. Like, well, one of them anyway when we were in London, but then we did the show. Show was amazing, and after it, we were partying with them and stuff. So we just like having a laugh. So I remember being in the dressing room. I just like Colin, also you're reading my mind. So I just seen his message pop up. So as we say, we were in the dressing room waiting on the gig, and we had like a rider, like all like sweets and like drinks and everything's there and food and everything's there in our dressing room, and then we went. D12's dressing room was along a little bit, and I remember we were at, like, we used to film everything, so we used to like basically we had cameras with us everywhere we went. That's how we were able to do the documentary pretty much.
Is that how I
had all that old footage? That was us. We filmed that anyway. Do you mean, like I say, I keep saying jackass, but like that kind of idea. We just filmed everything stupid, and the idea was we could make little videos to go on our website. This was before YouTube as well, so this is like, do you mean, well, we were doing all those little sketches and stuff before any of this there was any output for them.
What year was it? What year was it about?
So 2002 went to London.
2002.
So yeah, long time ago.
Sorry, mate.
Before you were born. And so that D12. I remember we went along with we were filming, we're like, yeah, let's go along, D12 dressing room. So we went along, there was no one there, so we just opened the door and went in. No one there, and we're like, oh my God, they've got loads of stuff in there, right? Oh, fuck that, let's go. So we went in, opened the fridges, bottles of champagne out, and like, we're filming all this, just grabbing stuff, stealing the stuff off the food off the thing, back to our dressing room. And now the manager's like, oh my God, you guys are going to get us kicked out of here. They just, the managers loved it and hated it, and saying it was a total love-hate relationship with how we were, because they loved the fact that we were wild and we just didn't care, because that, obviously it was refreshing at that time in the music industry. But at the same time, they were like, oh, this is going to all blow up and go mad. But luckily for us, it didn't. We kind of got, everyone kind of seemed to enjoy it, so it was cool. But that's the D12 story, yeah. We ended up playing with D12, our best buddies, and then stealing their stuff. Putting on film.
That's mad. Mate, so 3 years you put that accent on for? And 3 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I came home in 2005, so kind of end of summer 2005, so about almost 3 years, yeah.
Were you with your, did you meet your missus during that time, or?
No, before it. So she was finishing off uni. She's a teacher, so she was like pretty much finishing off her teacher. Actually, we got married during that time. So we got married during that time. So this was a weird one as well, because it was like, how did we get around that? Do you mean, obviously, because we kept going back and forth to Scotland. So see, over time the story evolved into like a bit closer to the truth. Well, we tried hard to get it a bit closer to the truth, just in case anything ever came up or we kind of got slipped up. We were able to say, oh no, but we went there. So we said that eventually, I think I said, no, I was actually born in Scotland. I just moved to America when I was like a teenager. That's where I met her. So we kind of got back into we had a bit of a base back home.
Yep.
Because obviously I was coming up and down, and Mary would come down for the weekend, or I'd go up for the weekend, and stuff like that. So it was, it was hard to kind of keep that obviously a bit secret. Because obviously when we got married, we couldn't invite anyone from the industry to the wedding.
From there,
like, damn right I do, man. On the wedding day. But
so what was the story then? So what was the story about getting signed with Sony?
Yeah, so well, basically, obviously, like I was saying before, the guy from Island Records, so that was bizarre. He was signed with Sony. What he done was he said, look, basically that next day when we went into him, he was like, right, I want to sign you guys. And we're just like, Jesus, what's going on? So he's like, I want to sign you guys, but I can't do it without having a manager. I need to have a manager, and obviously we didn't have a manager. So he gave us a list of these names. He said, listen, go and meet with these guys. No pressure. He said, just meet with them, see what you think. They couldn't obviously tell us go with this guy, but they could recommend guys. So they recommended guys to us, and they said, go meet with them, see what you think, and then come back to us. So we'd met a few guys, and we just felt like, there's chancellors, or didn't like that guy's attitude, didn't like the way don't think he really gets it, kind of thing. And we went to meet this one guy, Jonathan Charlotte, and he was huge at the time. He was like, bit name dropping here. He was like Charlotte Churchill at the time. She was huge. She was massive, and he was her manager and Big Brother's manager and Jamelia's manager. And all these people who were kind of out at the time in music. And we went to meet him, and so we got to the place and we buzzed. And we're like, yeah, we've got a meeting with Jonathan Charlotte. Yeah, come on up. And we sat down with this boy. And this kind of youngish guy, bit older than us, seemed really cool, and he was just like put the CD in. And he was just straight away, he was like, oh my God, this is him. And he was buzzing. He's like, hang on, I'm going to go and get Jonathan. And we thought, wait, I thought this was Jonathan that was here. And then just boy, Jonathan came in. I don't know if you'll remember him from the documentary. So he was like a kind of wee old guy, like eccentric type.
Spectre.
Yeah, wee old guy. But I mean, looking back now, brilliant at what he does. Obviously very good at what he does. But would never have been right for us if we'd met him face to face. I don't think he would have got it, and I don't think that we would have taken to him. But this other guy who he put in to meet us was totally got it. Was in new hip hop, new producers, new this and that. And I just loved it. So we went with Jonathan, and he was buzzing. Oh my God, I'm so excited, so excited. So basically, we signed with them. We signed with us. So now we have a manager in London, a big company. So we signed with those guys, and we went to. So then the manager said. So I said, like, well, we've got an offer of a record deal already, so you don't have to do anything. Ireland have told us to come to you, then we'll go back to Ireland and sign the record deal. We're sorted. But then he's like, nah, do you know what? Because I've got a couple other contacts and other labels, so we'll just play we'll go and see them, we'll play them off each other. Obviously, but the guy at Island Records, he was probably one of the coolest guys that we met throughout the time, as in the worked for labels. He was such a cool guy, totally into hip hop, completely got it from seeing us on stage that night. So we were like buzzing to sign for him, and but Jonathan had other ideas, and he kind of started putting them against each other, and so there was a bit of a bidding war coming in. No, we don't want to sign. No, we don't want to sign them. And we went around a few labels, but they ended up signing us to Sony.
What was the deal, Bill?
Do you know what? I can't even remember. There was loads of stuff. See when the story broke out, I was reading like every publication in the world was pretty much covering the story, and I'd pick up a paper one day and I was like, oh, these guys have just signed a $100,000 record deal. And the next one I'd pick up a magazine and like, oh my god, these guys have signed a $5 million record deal. And I'm like, where's this money going? Who's got all this money sort of thing? So people are like, man, you guys made loads of money doing that. But it's not how it worked. How it worked was the deal was worth a lot of money, but we were spending a lot of money as we go, so we didn't pay a penny. So we lived in London, like in a big house in London, like taxis everywhere we wanted to go, like taking out to restaurants, taking to this studio time, or taking to this party, go to this gig. Everything was free. We didn't pay for a thing. We just basically lived like rock stars for 3 years and didn't have to pay anything. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like it was more the money that we spent was the big figures that were coming in. Like, oh, this is what they spent, this is what they done. But it was like basically to make an album. And then obviously that was the deal, was basically make an album with a single to be released, and then on the back of that go forward with a second album if it does well. And that's kind of what we signed with Sony. And then we just started working. We basically met up with loads of producers, went to the studio, Colin come down, he'd lay out drum tracks, we'd put like we'd be working with the producers in the studio and put everything together, and yeah, it was brilliant. It was a brilliant experience. And
so how close did you actually get then to
release to that? Well, we had an album recorded. We had a single ready to go, and we'd written out the script for the music video for the single, for the first single. Because we're on Sony, we're having deals with PlayStation and stuff. There was talks of like games coming out. Like I just remember this the other day. I was speaking to my son about it actually. When I was out on my 45k run, we were talking about we were just talking about things like some of the crazy things, and that was one of the things I remember. Like they were going to make a Sony PlayStation game, like a Silibil N Brains PlayStation game. And I remember thinking, imagine that, God, that'd been amazing. But all the stuff was there. It was just buzzing away in the background.
Yep.
So we had the video ready to go. We didn't record it, sorry. We had the script written, this is what we're going to do. And then there was the merger happened with Sony and BMG. So what it meant was, because Sony was separate, BMG was separate, both huge record companies, but because they were merging together, everything got put on hold. Nothing was being released. There was no singles getting released, nothing, because obviously all the finances were in place. And so we thought, oh, that's it. You're literally next week we'll be shooting a music video, then a single will go out. We'd already been sending, we didn't. They'd already been sending the single out to like kind of local radio stations and like what's the word I'm looking for? Like uni radio stations, just to kind of get the bit of buzz around students, stuff like that. So we're doing a lot of tours of like unis, and we're touring. We're all over the place, playing shows. So we're trying to just basically build up a hype before the single got released. So we're already there. And then that got put on hold. But we got told once the merger goes through, we'll be the first act released on the new Sony BMG label, the new single. So we're like, oh, this is brilliant. So it's going to take 3 months worth of paperwork, and then boom, single will be coming out. So we're like, brilliant. Just sit back and relax, sit and play PlayStation and party up for the next 3 months. We need to go. And then 3 months turned into like 5 months, and then it was like, oh, it's going to be actually 7 months, and then 9 months. It just went on and on and on, and we were just getting frustrated. Like, look, what's going on? We're ready. Everything's done. The single's there. We've been touring. We've been on touring with D12, and when you get to that point, you feel like that's it. The iron is hot. Let's just strike now. You know, it can't get any closer now. Let's just do it. Like we just played tour with D12. We went on tour with D12 around the UK, and everyone's loving it. Crowds are loving it. People are going mad. It's like so. I mean, we were starting to be in magazines and people were talking about us, and it was just kind of not happening. So we're just getting really frustrated. And so we started forcing the idea of getting off a record label. Let's just leave them. Let's just go with someone else. We could probably go back to Island Records. So we're kind of fighting that with the management, and then they decided, you know what, yeah, right, you're right, we'll speak to Sony. So they were kind of involved speaking to Sony. It's going to happen, it's not going to happen. And eventually we left Sony because obviously they had us in contract for a certain time. That time frame had kind of expired because of the merger. So we were able to just like, that's it, it's not going to happen, we'll walk away from Sony. So we walked away, and the idea was we'll just look for a new label. There's loads of new indie labels were coming up, and like big indie labels were coming up and out, and that was the plan. Kind of, let's get on a new label and we'll just get a single out and get the music out there. And then Gav had this idea of, you know what, let's just get the indies the way to go. Let's just get off let's get off our management as well. We've got rid of Sony, let's get rid of the management. We'll just go and get a new manager and we'll just go and do the indie, we'll do it ourselves. And I was like, we've been here 3 years. I've been living in London for 3 years. I've come this close. The single's ready to go. The album's done. We've been touring. We're ready to drop the music and let people see it. And I just went, there was no way I was going to start again. It'd be like just starting all over again. We've just come to London. We're looking for a manager. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So I agreed to give him. Again, I agreed to give him 3 months. I was like, listen, okay, we'll look for 3 months. We'll see if we can get off the management and do this at the time. In 3 months, then we'll do it. If not, I'm just going to leave. I kind of got to the point I had enough. I was married at the time. Me and Mary were just like, you know, we're just getting bored of this now. So 3 months came, and I was like, right, 6 months. And nothing happens by January. That's it. And January would come, like, okay, March. Nothing happens by March. That's it. And it just went on and on until the end of kind of July. I think it was July time. And we were just like. And July came, and me and Mary just packed up, left, went home. Just had enough of it. I wasn't tied into a record label. We're tied off the management deal and stuff. So I was just like, nah, I've just had enough, and I just walked away from the whole thing. Came back up the road.
Just headed. Did you and Gav fall out at that time?
So there was a big deal made in the documentary about how we we'd fought and we'd be starting to be fighting and all this kind of stuff. And there was never any fights there. That never really happened. But I mean, I think we both got on each other's nerves towards the end. We both started kind of drifting apart and had kind of different ideas on what direction. Well, we obviously had different ideas on what direction to go and how to do it. And it was just, you know, it just wasn't. We just weren't gelling, kind of the same stuff. There was no actual fights or fallouts. We didn't fall out until I left. And then he phoned me one time raging, oh, we've got this gig coming up, and you need to come back down. I was just like, I'm not doing it. Like I said, I gave you the time. I told you the time I was having, and it's not happening. And yeah, he was raging at that. But, I mean, we didn't speak for years and years after that. So obviously I was up the road, and that's it, done, washed my hands of it, walked away. And then set up Concrete Jungle and everything. And then, and then out of the blue one day, there was... I got a phone call or I got an email or something. I got something anyway that was and it was a journalist, and she was like, "This is like 7 years later, right?" I think it was about 7 years. No, it wasn't 7 years later. A few years later.
Sorry, mate. See, obviously these years later, did any of these guys who you were working with in London, did they even know anything about this by then? Or?
No. So
I don't know.
Everyone just thought I went back to California to live back to my coconut farm in California. That's what everyone must have thought. Oh, he's left London. He's gone. So Gav was still there trying to make it. So he's been there for years, still trying to make it. And the management eventually said, "Nah, I'm not interested. If it's not Silibil N Brains, not interested, that kind of thing." And then we went. So he just kept going on. He got a band. He kind of changed the style, changed everything, and I see a question coming in there. I'll answer that in a sec. There was so that basically he was still there. Everyone thought I went back to America. So what had happened was, like, because Gav was doing this new band, he was in a studio, and he'd basically come clean to his mates. People we'd met, close friends, and he'd come clean to them and stuff, and dealt with all that. And said, "Listen, I'm actually from Scotland." So he kind of became himself. Became a version of himself, shall we say. And and he so he was in the studio one day mixing his song with his new band, and he was speaking to the engineer. And this is I think this is what happened. Obviously, this was going to do me, but and he was telling the guy a story. Oh, you're never going to believe this. I used to have a record deal, and I was signed, just basically doing what I'm doing now, telling the story to the guy. Guys, that's an amazing story. This was before anyone knew, obviously. That's an amazing story. He's like, my sister works for the Guardian. She goes, she would love that story. She'd speak to her. Like, so basically, they got in touch. He told his story to her, and she contacted me. She'd found me online and contacted me and asked if I'd be interested in doing an article, doing a story for her because she was going to put something in the Guardian. So I said, yeah, no worries, that's totally fine. And so we spoke. I can't remember if she came up to Dundee or not. If she came to Dundee or just spoke online. But basically, I did the story, told, just like I'm doing now, told everything that happened. And she's like, okay, I'll be coming out on Saturday, it'll be in the magazine that goes with the Guardian, there's a big thing about it. And honestly, I remember that day. It must have been a Sunday, actually. It must have been a Sunday. It was a Sunday, it was a big Sunday paper, and I remember opening it, and it was like a 7-page article about these two guys that go into the music industry, and this is an incredible story. So this whole story. And I went to Concrete Jungle on the Monday morning, and obviously, when I was speaking to her, I kind of tried to promote the shop. So I was like, oh yeah, so I've got at the shop, Concrete Jungle. And I think she maybe came up actually, that's maybe how she knew. So she put that in the story. So Billy's now back in Dundee and he's opened up a shop and all this kind of stuff. So people reading that, literally Monday morning, I got to open the door to the shop and the phone was ringing. And I picked up the phone, and from shop open to shop close, the phone was going off the hook, and it was just journalist after journalist just asking me for a story. Could you mind if we did a story? Have you got any photos? Can we do this? And that was it. It just went mental. Like I said, like, it was in every newspaper. I mean, I don't know if you noticed. I looked at Colin's story the other day. It was quite funny. He was obviously going through his memory box.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Loads of funny stuff, and I was like, yeah, well, you did because you tagged me. So it was in everything. I mean, I've got like loads of magazines, and it was in absolutely everything. FHM and this, and I think I was the cover of Playboy and stuff like that. Whatever, the hard times. I was in it. Basically, it was every press on the planet pretty much had covered the story by this night, and then that's how the documentary came about. So that's the only, and me and Gavin not spoken this until since I left, and that's how the documentary came about. Basically, I think he was trying to get, he was speaking to someone about doing a documentary. It wasn't really working out, and then he spoke to me for the first time saying, "Listen, I'm doing this," or he was writing a book, and there's going to be maybe a documentary and stuff like that. So that kind of all grew from there, and I got speaking to Jeannie Finlay, who's the director of the Great Hip Hop Hoax, as you know it, and and we got speaking, got on brilliant, and basically Jeannie would come up with the film crew, and we filmed my whole part of the documentary like over the time. And Gavin filmed his completely separate, and we'd never spoke. We weren't speaking during the time, or during we weren't really speaking properly, or so there was no like, it wasn't like me, Jeannie, and Gav sat down and made a film together. Like Jeannie had this idea of trying to put the film together, so everything of mine was filmed up here, everything of his was filmed separate in London, and she basically edited it all together with the old footage that we had, and then anything from like MTV, and because obviously there was loads of MTV stuff and everything that was out there, so. So she was able to use all that and put the film together, and that's how the documentary came out. So me, Gav, and Jeannie only sat down for the first time in a restaurant in South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. That was it, Austin. In Austin, Texas. We sat down at a restaurant, and that's the first time the three of us. I flew out with Gav out there, so we met at the airport and then we flew out to America together, and then. That was like the premiere of the film. So the premiere of the film was in South by Southwest in Texas, and that was the first time the three of us had sat down and actually spoke about it and spoke about stuff. And it was just like really, because we did do all these press releases. So there was like loads of American press were there like asking us questions, and we're doing can you do an interview for this and a photo shoot for that. So we spent a week just going around doing interviews and photo shoots about the film. So it was mental, but it was quite funny because it kind of felt like. It kind of felt natural. It felt second nature to be there with Gav and doing the stuff. It wasn't like people like, it's not really awkward for you, but it just didn't feel awkward. You felt like just straight back into it. Because we played a couple of shows there as well. So this was the first time we've been in it. Well, the first time Gav had been in America as well, which is quite funny. So, you know what I mean? The premiere of the film about pretending to be from America. So, it was pretty cool. It was good times, yeah.
Wicked, mate. I mean, I remember obviously I'd met you by then, but I remember when it came out, and I was just like, what?
Yeah.
What is going on here?
Yeah,
And then,
right.
obviously, since I asked you to come on and speak, I showed you the wee trailer of the documentary to the young lad, and he was just like looking at me like, and he was watching it, and he was saying, "Nah, what do you mean?"
Yeah.
And well, you went him, and got it on YouTube that night. Next day, he was like,
Yeah.
Dad, I watched that documentary." But absolutely buzzing, man, buzzing.
Yeah. That's cool. And sorry, I just go back. There was a question from someone. I can't see it now. But there was a
I
question
seen
from
that. Yeah, Scotty said, was the single ever released?
release. Yeah. So the single, there's actually a load of Silibil N Brains music on YouTube. The single was released, but only as not a video. So we never made the video for it in the end. So the single is there. It's on YouTube somewhere. If you type in Silibil N Brains on YouTube, there's a load of different videos, and or you type in Silibil, there'll be loads of stuff that comes up on my YouTube stuff. I think. But there's a lot of Gav's. I noticed he's put a lot of stuff up, and he's put. I think there's music on Spotify as well, which I'll be holding off to get all my royalties for that. But yeah, there's a lot of music on Spotify and stuff as well. If you can search for it.
That's cool.
Billy,
do you do any music yourself now?
Well, it's quite funny because I've just been speaking. You probably know my other son does a lot of music stuff and that as well.
Yeah.
So I was speaking to him the other day about doing some music because he's way more talented than me, like piano, guitar, every instrument he can play it. So he's trying to do a lot of things, and I did quite a few electronic stuff. I released an EP on iTunes a few years back now, but it was more electronic stuff. Obviously, I'm into. I'm not going to say a DJ. A lot of people. I used to do all the Dundee dance events and stuff, but I do like live production stuff. So I haven't done anything for a while, but I was doing that. I was doing like a lot of kind of like live production and like live vocals over the live production, and put a few tunes stuff together that were out on iTunes and that as well. But more just for a laugh and a hobby kind of now. Do you know what I mean? Not really too busy.
Because here, mate, like obviously, you're speaking about an unbelievable story, and it's the hip hop. Sorry, man.
Sorry.
An unbelievable story, and obviously it was a hoax because you were pretending that you were to be American, but you were shit hot, mate.
Yeah.
It wasn't you were shit hot. It wasn't like it was.
Yeah, that's it. That kind of frustrated me a little bit when the whole thing came out. There was a lot of hate from like what do you say? Like, was
that's somebody to hear.
Honestly, I'm waiting on hard brain to open it. But yeah, no, there was a lot of hatred from like hip hop, like Scottish hip hop type stuff, and guys, it's crap, they're just fakers, they're fakers and stuff. And I was like, yeah, the only thing that was fake was obviously the accents. The music was real, the lyrics were real, everything that was written was us. The rest was just a laugh and us almost trying to get one over the music industry because. I mean, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get our own back on the music industry because we felt like they didn't give us a chance.
Yeah.
When we're Scottish, and we thought that, well, do you know what? If they're going to give us a chance to be American, then let's get one over them. I mean, let's get our own back sort of thing and just kind of screw them over a little bit. But it became more of it. Obviously, we got kind of caught up in it, and we didn't realise how far it would go. It just went all mental. So.
No, cool.
That was like, I appreciate that. That's like a lot of people. When if you hear it, people that haven't heard it, if they listen to the music and stuff, it's a lot of people saying, "Oh, because like in the documentary, Dell, who became our manager for that management company, was like just like part of the band, absolute brilliant guy. I actually met him recently in London when I was down there, but absolute brilliant guy. And in the documentary, he says that straight away when he heard us, he thought it's like the Beastie Boys meets Eminem. And I do what just watching the Beastie Boys documentary over the last couple of weeks on Netflix. I was like, totally is. It was exactly what we're like. Lyrically, it was like Eminem, and like character-wise and attitude-wise, we were just like the Beastie Boys. We were just going mental and just didn't care. We just felt untouchable, and we just making the music and enjoying getting our music out there. So it was that was it.
Amazing, mate. Absolutely amazing. So here, just mate, what a story. What do you think? What do you think of the new Scottish grime scene and that's going on now?
Well, do you know what? There was
with actual Scottish accent rapping and stuff.
Yeah, do you know what? If that's the thing, I don't mind the Scottish acting at all, and I think it should be totally embraced. A lot of bands do it and stuff like that as well. But it's more, this is what people don't understand. Like when it comes to Scottish hip hop, right? It's not the accent that I can't relate to and I can't get. It's the storytelling and it's the lifestyle of these guys, because I feel like no one wants to better themselves. No one wants to become a superstar. There's a couple of guys in Aberdeen that are doing well. Grime-wise as well. There's Ransom guys, which is awesome. Absolutely love the stuff that he's doing. But I mean, it's more like, do you know, when people just don't have that vision of I want to be the best. It's like I was talking before about my son playing football. It's like he could have the attitude of, well, I'm never going to make it as a superstar. I'm never going to play for Real Madrid, so I'll just stick in and do what I'm doing. Yeah. Or you could push it and try and be the best. And I don't think the problem is people in the Scottish hip hop scene don't have that vision and they don't have that desire or that drive, which is fine. That's not a diss, or that's not that's not an insult. It's some of them don't want to have it, and that's totally cool. That's fine by me. But what I mean is the things they talk about and like drinking bucky in the park. I don't get that. I mean, I'm 40-year-old next year. I'm not drinking bucky in the park. I've never drank it in my life. Do you mean? So I can't relate to Scottish hip hop in that way. I can relate to a lot. I can relate to the beats. I can still relate to the music. And anyone that is doing something different and a bit pushing the boundaries. I'm a huge fan of pushing the boundaries, and to the point of crossing them. Do you mean? I don't generalize music. I just make music now, or I just enjoy music now. I don't care what part I take from here, what part comes from there. If it's because there was the guys. What they called? There was guys from Edinburgh. We actually met them at South by Southwest, and they were on their own. They weren't really part of the hip hop scene. They weren't, and that's what I like. I like people that don't try to get caught up in a scene. They just prefer to do their own thing because they see a bigger picture, and that's what I like. Okay, so if you're making good music, I'll enjoy it. Do you mean? Definitely, but a lot of the hip hop stuff in Scotland I can't relate to because it's not my lifestyle. I don't have that lifestyle that these young guys have, you know. So that's pretty much it. But yeah, I love it. Anyone making music, I can become a fan of, and I totally appreciate it. I've been there. I know what it takes. I know what it's like, you know. So it's all good.
Spot on, Bill. As I said, well, I'm going to leave it with here. As I said, Canning, you're maybe doing a hoax, mate, but you were shit hot. I appreciate you coming on, spending the time telling your story, and I hope people, you got to go and watch the documentary now. Now that you've listened to Bill's story, you've got to watch the documentary. Take it in.
Oh, seriously, there was a question. Someone said, what was it called? So the documentary is called The Great Hip Hop Hoax. It was a BBC documentary that was done. You'll be able to see it online and stuff.
It cost Joe $2.99 the other night on YouTube.
Okay, there you go. So it's on YouTube as well. Where's my royalties? I want royalties for that. No, kidding. But yeah, no, brilliant. But hey, it was just one. I'll leave you with a little teaser, actually. So there was a lot. I don't know if we've seen. There was a lot of discussion that there might be. They might turn the actual documentary into a film,
right?
Like an actual feature film, and that may be a lot closer than we think. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to go more into it. It's not 100% yet. But that's something I look forward to anyway.
Will you get weighed in for that?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been speaking to guys about it. I mean, it's been going for a long time. It's kind of was on, it's off. But it's looking a lot more on than off at the moment.
That's brilliant, mate.
Which is cool, yeah. So yeah, it'd be nice to get back and see what we can do with that. But it'd be cool. I'll not be in it, obviously, playing myself. I might try and get a cameo role as one of the record labels that didn't like Scottish rappers. I might do that.
Bill, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Thank you very
much for coming on. Have a good one, my man.
Thank you, brother.
Catch you soon.
See you.